Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of High and Inside. I'm Drew Allen, he's Kevin Bowen. We're going to break down the latest happenings of the IU baseball team. Obviously, Big Ten season is underway. We're going to talk about the Hoosiers' 2-1 win in the series against Michigan this past weekend. But first, Kevin, what happened yesterday at Miami?
I think that's exactly what Tracy Smith is wondering. His team has been just so good at those small things all year. And yesterday, the Hoosiers fall 6-1. They out-hit Miami 5-4, but just a plethora of errors. They had 3 errors in the field. They walked 4 batters. They hit 5 batters, which is definitely a season high for the Hoosiers. And this all came in the 7th and 8th inning, where it just kind of all fell apart for the Hoosiers. It was a staff day for IU. Brian Cordy threw the first 4 innings of no-hit ball. And the Hoosiers, from the sounds of it, sounded like they were hitting the ball hard, but just couldn't get those runs. They had 3 doubles in the game. 3 of their 5 hits were doubles, but none of those doubles were able to come in and score. The 5th inning, the only run that the Hoosiers did score on the day was a T.C. Nip steal of home. Nip walked to lead off the inning. Michael Basil was going to put down a sac bunt. Committed an error by Miami that moved Basil to second, and then Nip to third. And then Justin Curitan, Dustin DeMuth both struck out. And with an 0-2 count on Wes Wilson, Nip stole home, something that you don't usually see very often, but I think that just shows you how frustrated Tracy Smith was. They were being passive at the plate. They couldn't get that big hit. And then the 7th and 8th inning, just everything fell apart. Started with Drew Leininger on the mound. Then Matt Carr, who's a 5th-year senior, a kid who's been so great out of the bullpen all year. He intentionally walked a batter, then hit back-to-back batters, which brought in a run. And then Johnny Hoffman, Eric Cartman, a couple other guys, even Casey Smith came in the game. And everybody just seemed to struggle on that mound. And he even, had a little tweet after the game, joking, making a reference to the movie 127 Hours, that maybe his bullpen should have cut off their right arms yesterday. I know he probably means it in a joking way, but he's serious, because these midweek games we saw last year killed this team, and that they have the pitching depth to dominate those midweek games. And for Tracy Smith being a Miami of Ohio guy, it's now the 4th straight time that they've lost playing in Oxford, so I don't think he likes that at all. So
Not too happy about
tough
that.
one for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at that Miami team. I'm really, both in pitching and hitting, it's a mixed bag. You don't really know what you're going to get from midweek game to weekend series. Obviously, Kyle Weldon is a great hitter.
Right.
He was obviously a big part of Miami's offense against the Hoosiers yesterday, but you could tell that the Hoosiers really struggled. But that wasn't necessarily the case, say, for one game over this past weekend. The Hoosiers went up to Ann Arbor to open up their Big Ten slate. Took two from the Wolverines, I think on Friday, and then the second game of the doubleheader. And in both games, they hit really well.
Right.
They scored double-digit runs in both games, and save for that first game of the doubleheader where they lost 3-2, I think the bats were connecting at the same time. You look at Michigan. It looks like they were getting hits too.
Right. No, I think it's something that Tracy Smith talked about after the game. He said that his team, is kind of on this mission. He talked about how in past years, taking 2 out of 3 on the road would be, a feat or something that this team would definitely be happy about. But he really felt that his team was mad about not sweeping Michigan, who has an RPI in about the 200s, whereas IU's in the late 80s, 90s, in that range. So I think that's what he was most not mad about, but he was, in a way, he was pleased that his team kind of has this focus right now of, this team can be Big Ten champions, and if they aren't that, then that's a failure in their eyes. But yeah, no, you mentioned the offense was great, and so was the pitching. Blake Monar had 10 strikeouts on Friday night. Again, he's definitely that Friday night starter. I don't think there's any question about that. And then, frankly, I think Chad Martin will definitely be that Saturday guy. You mentioned in the 3-2 loss, Martin had trouble getting to first base in the 7th inning. I could have got the Hoosiers out of the inning. The next batter hit a 2-run home run that gave Michigan the lead in the eventual 3-2 victory. So I think that's one of those things with just a mental error there. But then, no, in the Saturday second game, the doubleheader, he threw Matt Dearden, who's a guy that we really haven't seen much this year. Tracy Smith talked about how the Sunday role is not really established yet. I think we could see a plethora of guys throw on Sunday when the Buckeyes come to town. But no, Dearden went 6 innings. He pitched very well, and then Ryan Halstead, who's really one of the top closers in the nation. Tracy Smith raves about this kid. He went 3 innings to finish it off, and yes, in the offense, I believe IU scored 10 runs on that's in the second game. So I think all in all, he was pleased. Coming out of the weekend, 2-1, you're atop the Big Ten standings after the first series. But yeah, I think all in all, he was pretty pleased to get out of the Ann Arbor 2-1 and get out before the winter weather came on Sunday.
Oh, sure, absolutely, and another thing you're seeing out of the pitching staff, particularly in this last series against Michigan, is that you got so many guys, particularly young guys and newcomers like Martin, he was a transfer, right, that can get the job done. That you can kind of strategically plan your starters based on what kind of hitting you're going to see. I mean, obviously Dearden is a righty.
Right.
Mainly for most of the weekend series in the season, we've been seeing lefties in Monar, Liniger, and Cordy, and as well as Donato whenever he started. But what you're seeing is you got a Michigan team that historically has kind of struggled against righties, been a little bit stronger against lefties. And you bring in a guy like Dearden who can get the job done, go 6 innings, and really hold the floor. It really speaks volumes to the depth that you got on your pitching staff. That was quite frankly a weakness last year.
Right. No, and I think that's something that he echoed media day. There's so many arms, so many young arms. Really, Dearden freshman, Cordy freshman. We see some of these young kids coming in there, and one of them is going to have to settle into that Sunday role. It'll be interesting to see who he throws. I think that's why he wanted to use Tuesday's game with Miami of Ohio as kind of a staff day, so he had a plethora of pitchers ready to go on Sunday. So we'll see. I expect, I think Drew and I both expect Monar to go Friday night, Chad Martin to go Saturday, and then it'll be interesting to see who pitches on Sunday for the Hoosiers. But the Buckeyes are a big-time team. I believe their RPI is ranked right around IU. That's where the conference tournament is later in the year. So for the Big Ten home opener at Simbauer Field on Friday at 3, I think Tracy Smith will have his kids' focus, especially after the abysmal effort. I think on Tuesday would be a good way to put it. So for Drew Allen, I'm Kevin Bowen. This is our 6th edition, I believe, of High and Inside. And again, follow us on IDS_baseball for updates. Drew will be giving updates from Simbauer this weekend as the Hoosiers open up Big Ten play in Bloomington. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.